Greetings, thinkers. Have you ever wondered just how fragile everything around us is? Everything you know, all the achievements of humanity exist on a tiny grain of sand. And moreover, humans have settled only the thin outer layer of it. This is Project Aroxis with you, and today we will reflect on a big topic that concerns absolutely every person on our planet. We'll talk about what could wipe out humanity or severely batter our civilization and plunge us back into primeval chaos. The 21st century has given humanity a false sense of security. People sometimes find it hard to imagine that the world is more chaotic rather than stable. Dangers abound around us, and who knows how long our relatively stable situation will last. In 2017, we detected an interstellar object for the first time. Of course, I'm talking about the asteroid Oumuamua. And do you know how we discovered it? When it was already on its way out, flying away from us. The point is that in reality, we cannot effectively scan the space around our planet, especially for those visitors that come from other star systems, particularly from the direction of the sun. And what if such visitors start coming more often? Every year, Earth passes through meteor showers in the solar system. These are regions of high particle concentration, during which we can observe falling stars in the sky. A beautiful sight. But what if the solar system itself were to pass through regions dense with interstellar objects like comets and asteroids? The problem is that we can't see them since they emit no light. And even if we do notice an asteroid hurtling toward us, will we be able to stop it? Shoot it down? And what if it's a loosely bound comet? Essentially, we just hope that we live in a stable solar system. We also hope that the likelihood of a direct impact is extremely low. Distances are too great, objects too few, but probability is still probability. No matter how small it is, given enough time, the event will occur. And by the way, this is what the end of humanity would look like if a sufficiently large asteroid crashed into the planet. And just like that, we're gone. Astronomers tell us that Oumuamua was elongated, cigar-shaped, or possibly disc-shaped, and that it unexpectedly accelerated after passing the sun. A well-known astrophysicist, Avi Loeb, a professor at Harvard, even suggested that it might have been an artificial object. Not 100% for sure, but with a certain degree of probability. You know, personally, I think the universe is teeming with simple life, since on Earth it appeared almost as soon as the planet formed, back in the Archean era. I also think evolution tends to boost brain power, since that gives a serious competitive advantage. For example, the octopus evolved a brain independently of other animals, as did eyes, by the way. And at one time, Enrico Fermi, during a conversation at the Los Alamos cafeteria, exclaimed, "Where is everybody? Why don't we see other civilizations? Why doesn't anyone see us?" And you know, maybe that's for the best. After all, we humans descended from apes, and we carry in our behavior both the best and the worst traits of that species. Anger, hot temper, greed, sadism. And how can we be sure that if our signals are detected, our fellow intelligent beings would turn out to be kind creatures? Of course, it's possible their species originated from more peace-loving beings comparable to our sheep or quokkas. But how can we guarantee that? And if they're able to reach us, that alone speaks to their superiority. Only two questions arise. What are they like by their nature, good or evil? And the second question, how far ahead of us are they in development? Won't they send an asteroid in our direction? Incidentally, we have already discovered a third interstellar object flying toward us. Or perhaps they could be among us right now. After all, a drake or a deer cannot physically tell a decoy apart from a real counterpart, not to mention how easily we can fool insects or bacteria. Who's to say that we would be able to distinguish a convincing fake intended for us? Don't be hasty with your answer. Remember that pride has let us down more than once. Let's step away from space and turn our gaze to ourselves. Throughout human history, we have been plagued by epidemics. The battle between our immune system and pathogens never stops. And unfortunately, sometimes we lose. COVID reminded us that biological danger is still real. In the past, we had the sad experience of losing 3/4 of Europe's population during the plague. In South America, smallpox wiped out 90% of the population, leading to the collapse of the Inca Empire. Outbreaks of epidemics were still an everyday occurrence just 100 years ago. The lion's share of dangerous diseases comes to us from the animal world. That is, humans can catch them from animals. HIV and syphilis are proof of that. And what do you think? Do we keep track of the viruses circulating in animals? The answer is a bit frightening. Only in 2016 did a group of scientists convene for a project called Global Virome to start cataloging viruses found in animals, because by their estimate we are unaware of about 1.6 million viruses on the planet, of which 600 to 800,000 could potentially pose a threat to humanity. So COVID might end up seeming like a walk in the park. Of course, humanity is unlikely to go completely extinct from an epidemic, but it could suffer greatly and be set back in development. We can include here the zombie disease as well, infection by prions. This is a slow disease, neither a virus nor a bacterium, but just a misfolded protein that can cause a whole lot of problems. Leave a like and a comment, and I'll make a separate video about that. In February 1600, the volcano Huaynaputina exploded in Peru. That's way over there, just one volcano. What could it do? But it was this very eruption that plunged the planet into a little ice age, especially in Europe. And in Russia and China, the ruling powers collapsed as a result. And 74,000 years ago, the Toba volcano in Indonesia almost put a full stop to human history. Back then, we managed to squeeze through a genetic bottleneck, and that was just one volcano. What if there were 10? Well, 10 is exactly how many supervolcanoes on the planet can be considered active right now. Can we predict eruptions? Very, very poorly. Only by indirect signs, basically just guessing that an eruption might happen, without any indication of its strength or the exact timing. And one more thing, a volcanic winter can last much longer than a nuclear one. And the trouble is, a nuclear winter depends on our own folly, whereas a volcanic winter is again a game of probabilities. You know, the soil around a volcano is very fertile, but I've always considered people who live in its immediate vicinity to be extremely brave. Now let's take a look inside ourselves. Throughout history, humans have been perfecting the art of killing one another in competition. Not only competing with other species, but with each other. From stones and sticks to thermonuclear warheads. Imagine, nuclear weapons were used twice in human history on the cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, with yields of 15 and 21 kilotons, killing about 300,000 human beings, including those who later succumbed to radiation sickness. And just 16 years later, the USSR, in the course of the arms race, developed a bomb with a yield of 50,000 kilotons, 1,388 times greater than the two Hiroshima and Nagasaki blasts. And that's just a single bomb. The peak number of nuclear warheads on planet Earth at the height of the Cold War was estimated at over 70,000. I hope we all understand that humanity got hold of a weapon far too powerful. We can only hope that we truly are a rational species. Next on our list of threats is the extinction of a species crucial to us. Yes, in our world order there are some very fragile points. For example, bees. These little hard workers appeared on our planet around 100 to 120 million years ago, and now it looks like they're dying out. Over the last 50 years, the number of the honeybee and its wild relatives on Earth has plummeted by 50 to 70%. That's enormous and way too fast. Bees pollinate about 75% of all agricultural crops. We already have regions of the world that still suffer from hunger, and this decline could literally trigger the collapse of society. I plan to make a detailed video on this topic soon. If you're interested, please support the channel with a like and a subscribe. You know, sometimes it makes me sad to think that our shared home is doomed to burn in the sun's embrace in roughly 7.5 billion years. Look around. All this, unfortunately, is not eternal, and there are some doubts that the vector of human development will always keep rising. It would be tragic to learn that our descendants failed to agree on how they will evacuate from a dying planet. This isn't the only problem that comes from the sun. There are nearer and more unpredictable ones. For example, large coronal mass ejections aimed at Earth, a very unpleasant and unforecastable event. It has happened before and been recorded in history. For instance, in 1859, a massive solar storm known as the Carrington event occurred. At that time, due to intense geomagnetic storms, the aurora was observed as far south as the Caribbean islands, and all the sparse electrical equipment in use was badly damaged. But in those years, humanity was only beginning to harness electricity. We weren't so dependent on it, and now I want you to listen to me carefully. The meme end of the world predicted by the Mayan calendar almost came true. On July 23, 2012, a very large solar flare erupted on the sun, 10 times more powerful than normal, and all that charged mass hurtled toward Earth's orbit. We were extremely lucky, because the torrent of charged particles passed through Earth's path 8 days before Earth got there. If the blast had hit Earth directly, a total blackout would have occurred on the planet, plunging our society into darkness and chaos. There would have been no electricity, no electronics, no internet, no GPS. Just imagine what kind of chaos would erupt. Recovery, even assuming a stable society, would take months. Just imagine, 8 days was all that separated us from being thrown back a couple of centuries. And I remember 2012. That event didn't even cause a big stir in the media. It's frightening that we cannot predict such solar outbursts. So live on and cherish our stable society and the achievements of progress. From our nearby star, let's send our thoughts back out to the starry sky, asteroids and alien civilizations. Is that all? Unfortunately, no. At this moment, something beyond Pluto's orbit is perturbing celestial objects. The hypothesized planet 9, with a mass of about 6 to 7 Earth masses. It's hard to find because it doesn't emit light, but what if light from this supposed object can't reflect at all? I'm talking, of course, about a black hole. In our galaxy, the Milky Way, rough estimates suggest there are on the order of 100 million black holes, and possibly one of them is within the bounds of the solar system. But that's not frightening for us, since our system seems to be stable, not counting objects with very long orbits that we haven't discovered yet. What is dangerous for us are uninvited guests that pass by or fly into our solar system. They could disturb the trans-Neptunian objects, triggering a new bombardment of Earth by comets and asteroids, or even influence the orbits of the planets themselves, with a possible scenario of Earth being flung out of the solar system. Let's also add rogue planets and brown dwarfs, which are likewise hard to detect due to their lack of luminosity, but which are estimated to be far more numerous in our galaxy than black holes. Adding to this point the hypothesis of a false vacuum as well, I'll make a separate video on this topic. In short, there are reasons to suspect that our vacuum could transition to a true vacuum. And if that happens, then the world would change at the quantum level. Physical constants would shift. The laws of nature would cease to work. Atoms would disintegrate. Life would vanish. According to our current understanding, this event does have its own probability of occurring. And if the transition does happen, then that bubble will travel at the speed of light, destroying everything in its path. We wouldn't even know when it engulfs us, and we wouldn't see it coming. And given that the universe might be infinite, then absolutely all probabilities will eventually come to pass within it, and that bubble could already be on its way toward us. By the way, here's an interesting thought. When they calculated the probability of vacuum decay, did they account for the chance that our fellow intelligent beings might accidentally trigger it? Imagine two scientists conducting an experiment, and the last thing they say is, let's try doing it like this. Get back! Let's move into the realm of metaphysics. Some scientists are seriously testing the hypothesis that we live in a simulation, and lately I too have been leaning in that direction. The idea here is extremely simple. If someone launched the simulation in which we find ourselves, then that someone can just as easily switch it off. The admin might simply get bored with managing our service, and that's that. Let's add the wrath of the gods here as well, since in essence these are very similar things. And the last point of our reflections is, of course, artificial intelligence. In my previous video, I outlined my thoughts on this phenomenon, and I suspect I'll be putting out more videos on this topic. I'll only add that humanity will most likely let the genie out of the bottle. We won't be able to keep a more powerful entity locked up. Assuming we do manage to create one, of course. In general, check out my previous video. I explained my thoughts there in more detail. Thank you, my friends, for watching till the end. I really appreciate it. I understand that my videos are quite heavy and not everyone can manage them, but on the bright side, we're forming a high-quality audience for future projects. Once again, thank you for watching. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. This has been Aroxis. See you in the next video.